From the lighter side of pest control, this is the Tales from the Crawl Space podcast.
Hey, welcome to Tales from the Crawl Space podcast. Danny is not with us this evening. He is otherwise detained, but I have America's favorite smoker-burning fireman, Brad Harvey.
Oh, Jack, some things I just don't want everyone to know about. It's too embarrassing.
And we have a special guest because this evening's show is going to be about women in pest control. We have your pesty bestie from both TikTok and Instagram, Miss Jerusha Riopel. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Great to have you here, Jerusha.
Definitely. Thank you for coming on the show. What we want to talk about is first of all, get serious about what got you into pest control and learn something about you. And then we're going to ask you the weird questions about all the strange shit you've come across, because that's what we're all about. And we're going to, we're not going to get too terribly pervy. We'll be respectful, but we expect all the good dirt.
Absolutely. There's a lot of it.
Well, first, before we get into that, I want to let everybody know that we can be found at Crawl Space Tales on Twitter, at TFTC Podcasts on Instagram, at TFTC 2.0 on TikTok, and our most favorite place to be, the Pest Control Humor Depot page on Facebook. Right, Brad?
My favorite group of all time, and we're getting ready to celebrate our third birthday this week. So
that's right.
We're all pretty excited about that.
Do you have our phone number?
Our phone number? I do. And once again, Danny, this is for you. I know you're listening. You may not be able to talk, but you got ears. 571-888-5283.
All right. That was for you, Danny. We miss you. Get back on the show, damn it.
Damn Skippy.
But Miss Jerusha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I've been in pest control for about 3 years now. I was a hairstylist for 12 years while my brother and sister built their careers in pest control, and nagged me all the way through to give it a shot, make a little bit more money, have some more flexibility. And eventually, after 12 years, they wore me down. And I've been doing it ever since and loving life, actually.
Nice. Now, were you kind of hesitant at first? I mean, when you first started doing the job, and were you like, "Oh my God, bugs"? Or I mean, was it something? I mean, I know that's kind of chauvinistic. Sorry to say that, but
no, it's fully accurate. Even taking the interview, I mean, my brother told me for years and years and years, just come do this, and I was like, "Oh my God, spiders, mice, like fuck no." And then even once I did the interview, nailed that. I was still pretty hesitant at that point. And then what would have been my manager called me to offer me the job. And I was still kind of iffy about it. And then he said, "Well, I want to give you the job, but I'm a little bit hesitant because you're a girly girl." And I was like, "Oh, okay, Joe."
Wait a minute. Did he actually say girly girl?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And I said, "Well, I'm a badass too. And if I decide to be a badass pest control technician, I will be." And in his defense, I went on to work for him, and I would go back to work for him in a heartbeat. But, it put a chip on my shoulder. So I kind of had, even to this day, I think of that anytime I want to run away from the nasty things. So yeah, it's a gross job, and it took some getting used to. But
he just had to figure out who the fuck you were, right?
Exactly. I just had to prove myself a little bit. And then when I left that company, and even months later, he was kind of keeping tabs on where I was at and trying to get me back. So I did a pretty good job of proving him that girly girls can kill shit too.
There you go.
Now, what do you do primarily? Are you a residential, commercial, or a little bit of both, or termite?
I do both. Currently, I've never done any termite. I started up in Minnesota, and up there, our routes, we did residential and commercial, but there's just not a lot of termites up there. And my company had a wildlife division, so I never did a lot of wildlife, never did any termites. And then I came down to Colorado and I did strictly commercial for a year at Big T. And yeah, that was pretty terrible. And now I'm at a smaller.
We're sorry.
Yeah, me too. And now I'm at a smaller family-owned company, and we do a little bit of everything.
Same here. Awesome. Yeah, I survived 17 years at the Big Green Tea,
Jesus
and
Christ.
it just got to the point. And then I went to what Jack refers to as economical Labrador Retriever and the Big Blue E, and I spent 3 years there. And I ended up landing at a smaller family-owned business myself, and I love it. It's great to be able to get to the top if you take a question up to the top if you have to in one phone call.
For sure.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You don't have all kinds of layers and everything. We've got an operations manager that kind of oversees all the branch operations. We only have 6 branches, but that's our HR guy. That's our quartermaster. That's our referee. That's the guy that gives us unsolicited medical advice when something's wrong. You don't have all these layers. You don't have all these egos. I mean, there's egos, but you got far fewer egos to deal with when you're dealing with a smaller company, than you do with a big faceless corporation like the Big T and the Big E and the Big O and the Big R and the Big F.
Well, I'll tell you
here it's a father-daughter. And the other day, I've only been with them since November. And the other day I made my first sale out on my own, and I went to the office to drop off my paperwork, and the owner was right there and high-fived me and congratulated me. And it's just a lot different when I literally can call his phone and ask him questions. He's been doing this for 40 something years. And his daughter, who is also phenomenal. I mean, I can walk into the office and the actual owner is right there to have a conversation. And at these other, I had that at my first company where I met the CEO. She wasn't as accessible, but after a year at Big T, it's a massive difference just being able to, even just being able to talk to people who know anything about pest control makes all the difference in the world.
It's a good feeling, and you feel like you're making more of a difference in the smaller ones than you do in the bigger ones.
Oh, for sure.
You feel like whatever it is you do has more purpose, because you know what, it actually does.
Yeah, it's your community. I have a route that is not far from where I live. I just the other day serviced the elementary school that my son went to. So it's a big difference rather than kind of the big nameless, faceless, big conglomerates. You don't feel like you're doing a lot over there. This really makes you feel like you said, like you're making a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to tell you, when I was with the Big Green Tea, that has to be the most miserable time of my pest control life. I was a service manager, and my son was just born. JT was just born, and I would get up, he'd be asleep. I'd be at work for 12, 14 hours and get home, and he's asleep. And I never got to spend any time with my son. And the one day I did get off, because I worked 6 days a week, I was so wiped out, I was sleeping. So, and it was a miserable existence. And when they say shit rolls downhill, in the Big Green Tea, it stops at the service manager. And you get all of it, all of the shit. And it was it was absolutely miserable fucking experience with them. And
Same.
Go ahead.
And then I worked for one of the Donnie and Marie Pest Control Company that was bought by them. And like I talked about on another show, when they do that, they only want the accounts. They don't want the people. So what they'll do is they'll send you to an office that was really far away. Well, it's the only spot we have for you. And then because they want you to quit. They don't want the people. They just want the accounts, because they were only big because of who they bought, not because of the accounts they kept, because Big Green Tea bleeds accounts.
Oh, absolutely. We were losing clients left and right. You just get these random text messages saying, everybody that canceled. And then unfortunately the technician is held responsible, and that affects the technician's bottom line. And sometimes,
It does.
most times, it has nothing to do with the technician, but it's, everything was taken out on the guys way at the bottom, not really being able to make a difference. Yeah, that was the worst. I almost left pest control altogether because of how horrendous that year was. And I took a massive pay cut when I left because I tried to quit several times in that year, and they would just give me a raise. I think I got 3 or 4 raises while I was there for a year because I'd be like, fuck this, I'm out. And they'd be like, no, please stay, because I'm a good technician. And I had really good training at my first company, and they didn't offer training. And so a lot of their guys, not their fault, but just were not trained. And so I got raise after raise after raise, and I took a massive pay cut. But it was like, you know what? I'll be poor to just get some semblance of a life back and like just get my mental health back, because you're just a robot there. They don't care if you're not. I averaged 50, 55 hours a week. And that was just a regular week. And when I left, they didn't say 2 words. We had a meeting 2 days before I left, and they didn't say anything. They didn't say like, hey, thanks for the year of service. Nothing. Just like, all right, good luck to you. Find a ride home.
Yeah.
Don't take your customers with you, or we'll sue you.
That's right. Yeah. You probably got the you might have gotten that non-compete letter, a copy of it from Matt Mayer.
Those are not. Thankfully, you can't. In Colorado, those don't really mean anything. You can't.
Yeah, they don't mean a whole lot in Indiana either, unless you can like directly prove that an account was stolen or an employee was poached or something like that. Then you got a case, and usually they get settled. Sure. All you got to do is just say, I won't do it again, and then you're off the hook. So, and you don't even have to pay court costs. That's the company's dime.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we've had a couple of instances of that where, the companies that I was aligned with tried to enforce a non-compete, and it just basically the judge is like, why are we here? It's like, you could, it's okay, dude, don't do this again. Okay. Gavel, we're all out the door.
Yeah, I can't imagine a judge really ruling in favor of somebody not being able to just work for a living and pay their bills, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And to what you were saying earlier about taking a pay cut, I believe I took a pay cut when I took my first job in pest control. And it only, the only time that when you really start making it is when you stick with it. You get that reputation with the customers. You start being more confident. You build up your sales. You're getting better at your job, so you're not losing as many customers. I mean, you still, again, the big T bleeds customers, that's for sure. But it's, you get to eliminate some of that by time, experience, tenure, and so forth. I was cleaning out my dresser. And this was just a few weeks ago, and I came across a piece of paper. I picked it up. It was my paycheck stub for my very first paycheck at Terminix back in 1992. Wow. And I remember keeping it for posterity, but I just forgot where I'd put it, and I hadn't seen it for decade or so. And I picked it up and I looked at it, and I looked at that net number, and I'm thinking. And to back up a little bit, this was a 6-week check, because when I got my first day, it overlapped with pay periods, and then they screwed something up. So I didn't get my first paycheck for 6 weeks. Oh. So when I got that paycheck, fortunately, my beautiful bride had a nice job, so we were able to cover bills. I looked at that paycheck just a little while ago, and I'm looking at that number, and I go, I am making the same amount of money in 2.5 days as I did for 6 weeks there.
Wow.
So, time is everything.
Yes, it
is.
And,
if it's something that you enjoy, if you can endure the shit storms, but it's something you feel like you'd like to do, and you can't think of anything that you'd want to do different other than earn more money, and you can stick with it, it's a damn good job.
It is.
It really is. It's not, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a damn good company, but it's a damn good job, on the whole.
Absolutely.
And
I love
It's definitely not for everybody. Sometimes it's not for manly men either, let alone girly girls. Jerusalem, we have a saying. We have a saying that this job isn't for anybody or everybody, and some days it's not for anybody.
That's the truth.
Wholeheartedly agree with that one.
So tell us
what I didn't think I would, but I really do love the industry.
Well, to follow Brad's template when we had Kevin on, and again, Kevin, thank you for being on the show, most certainly. But tell us, what's a day in the life of Jerusha look like at Pest Control?
Currently, it's a cakewalk because it's winter here, and we still are pretty warm, but we're not doing anything super difficult right now. So I have a mix of commercial and residential, and so it really varies day to day. Tomorrow I am predominantly commercial, so I think I have 11 accounts that I'll hit tomorrow, maybe 3 or 4 businesses, and the rest residential homes. So checking in. I'm new to this this company. I'm new to this route, so I honestly don't know what to expect every day, but it's a little bit of everything. For the most part, it's pretty simple right now. Lots of interior, exterior sprays. I'm a little bit of a baseboard jockey right now as I get used to my accounts and learn what the customer's looking for. But yeah, tomorrow I've got a pretty easy day. I don't start till about 7:30. I should be home by 3 at the latest.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll just kind of run around Colorado Springs. I've got a couple fire departments to go check out, and then just a bunch of single family homes. So kind of a boring day to be honest.
Well, I tell you, when storm season hits, you'll miss those boring days.
Yeah, yep. I'm soaking it all up right now, getting used to the company, getting used to the customers, and then once it starts to get warm and sunny here again, then I'll, hopefully have the lay of the land and just be able to attack it every day.
Nice. Now, what do you find that you like the most about pest control? What's the part that really connects with you? I always say, I think somebody at my very first company said, I think the CEO maybe said that we're really in the customer service industry. We just happen to do pest control. And for me, that's the part I like, because I was a hairstylist for 12 years, and you build these really positive, really strong relationships with your customer because you're sitting there one-on-one with them every 4 to 6 weeks. For women, it can be a 3 or 4 hour long appointment. And when I gave that up, I didn't realize, but pest control really gave me the same satisfaction where, I'm going into people's home. They're putting all of their trust in you to solve this problem for them. And it's something different every single day. You're not going to one office for 40, 50 hours a week and looking at the same people. You're meeting different people. You're hearing different stories. You're constantly on your toes, solving problems. And then at the end of it, you get to just chill in your car, listen to a podcast, listen to some music, or in your truck and head to the next account. It's just... I'm an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert, something like that. So I like my alone time in my truck in between jobs. Oh, amen. I am exactly the same way.
Yeah, and then I love to go.
I think if it wasn't for that, it would be a tougher gig.
Yeah, I couldn't do just people in front of my face all day every day.
Because you need that at least a few minutes to kind of reset. And if you know who who your next person is or your next customer is, yeah, it's like you get that way you can switch into that customer's mode and you're good to go. I mean, not every personality is universal, so you have to. I feel like I know for me at least, I have to have that time to switch faces.
Absolutely. Especially after a difficult one, knowing that, okay, I don't have to be on again in 3 minutes. I've got a little bit of time. Maybe my next job is a 20-minute drive. You can just, yell and cuss if you need to. You can listen to some gangster rap if that's your, you can do it to kind of get into the right zone.
Yeah.
And I like that. And then I also like my favorite part is being a woman in this industry and knowing that I'm having to prove myself, or knowing that somebody underestimates me and then just knocking it out of the park and being like, yeah, what now, bitch?
There you go.
So I
Yeah.
like that. I like feeling like a badass every single day. Because not every woman could do this.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like I said, not every man either, not just women.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people.
I know that a lot of the mentality out there is that, women who really, that they have, that I hate this phrase, but a lot of people believe that women have something to prove, when they get a job like this. I've never felt that way. I mean, because we get pest control gets into some nasty situations, and I know that the traditional role of the woman of women is to care for kids and so forth. I can't change a dirty diaper without gagging. I mean, I can't. There's things that I can, that women can do that I can't, and there's things that I can do that women can't, and that's why we work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all get our hands dirty the same way too. I mean, when you're in a crawl space, I mean, you're in the same crawl suit with the same nasty shit. So I mean,
I'll tell you what though,
I've got dirt.
but after
I'm not looking real cute at the end of the day. I don't smell very good at the end of the day. It's not. Yeah, I get into the same messes.
Yeah, I know. I know women get swamp ass on pest control just as much as guys do. I'll tell you what. After being this long into the industry, I think I would rather have my hand covered in a half-inch layer of baby shit than have my hands covered in some of the crap that I find underneath some of these counters and shit in these fast food joints.
Oh my God, it's outrageous.
For one thing, I know what the food is when I'm changing my baby's diapers. I don't know what the hell that stuff is.
Yeah, at least you know what that might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does change the idea about eating out. I mean, what's that?
Oh my goodness.
Consume in the world.
I think we all have our arsenal of the restaurants that we would eat at, and the restaurants that we definitely would not eat at. Oh, and then sure. I even break the categories down a little bit more. It's like, okay, this is a restaurant that I wouldn't eat at, but I would tell somebody that to go ahead and eat there, especially if I didn't like them. But then there's the ones that under no circumstances should any human being eat there. And then there's this one, there's one. It's like, I shouldn't eat there, but the fucking food is so good, I'm going to take the chance. So it breaks it all down. And so usually I got my arsenal of ones that when somebody comes up, hey, you do restaurants? Where's a good place to eat that ain't got no roaches? You can rattle it off. But
absolutely.
Now, what do you find that what would you rather change or don't like about the job? What is it that doesn't sit well with you?
Customers.
I think that's probably a universal answer.
Fruit right there.
Our job, I think, is dope. I like everything about pest control. I really don't have anything, like I don't love walking into a rat infested area, but like there's not a lot that I would change other than, customers can just be the worst sometimes. And that's just people in general. Some people suck at life, and unfortunately they end up with pest problems too. But other than that, I mean, there's really not. I would like to see more women doing it. I'd like to see more. I guess I would also like to see more small companies and not this monopoly of, like the Rent-A-Kill Terminix.
Here.
Or Big R.
Oh, for sure.
Excuse me. Taking over the world and buying up every small business around. I think that's pretty depressing. But as a whole, and that's just because I think it's a really cool industry, and I think that unfortunately those monopolies are going to change the game, and they're going to change the quality and what's expected and make it soft. But other than that, I wouldn't change anything about what we do day to day.
Well, the good news is even in the age of the great reptiles, there were still tiny little mammals getting shit done. And so that's where the small companies are going to come in, because there's going to be people out there that absolutely positively do not want to deal with a large company because they've been stung by them before or what have you. So there's always going to be a niche market for that. So, that's why I think it's important that these small guys, that these guys that work for these big companies, they get pissed off and quit and start their own. For one thing, I hope you know what you're doing when you do that, because it's a monster. It's not just I get up when I want, I work the hours I want, I do. No, that's nothing. It's, anybody that's done it for a minute knows that's not the case, because you've got bills to pay, you got liability insurance to deal with, and just like anything else, and you got the big T, taxes.
There's a lot of behind the scenes shit that goes on when you're out running your route. So,
oh yeah, I mean, yes, it's a very good bragging point to say, yeah, you should start your own business. I did, and it's doing great. And then just leaving it at that, it's like, no, you're not hearing about the dude having to sit up at late at night dealing with his QuickBooks and trying to get sure all the bills are paid, making sure these deadbeats that he's got on his books are paying him. And, if you do have an employee, you got to deal with him, you deal with this issues and stuff like that. So it's not just, time to kill some bugs.
Well, then you don't have the options when you're first starting out. You kind of just have to take everything that comes your way to get a paycheck. You don't have, like, I was just talking to our owners about an account that just had like a weird preference or something, and the owner was like, "Oh no, we don't do that anymore. Nope, you're not bending over backwards that way. And if they don't like it, they can fire us." When you're brand new, you don't have that option. You just kind of have to deal with the BS to get your name out there and be making money. I have no interest in starting my own business. I have mad respect for anybody who does that, but
Jerissa, I'm 58 years old. That ship has sailed. I'm a company man till because I can see the finish line where I'm standing at right now. So I'll be a company man until then.
Yep.
Brad will be working
up.
Do
a great job.
I'll be working for the
man. He'll be working up until lunch the day of his funeral.
That's right.
Now,
I'll be right there with you.
Is there something in the business that you've wanted to learn so far that you haven't? Is there something that you've wanted to get into? Termite fumigation, things like that?
Yeah, I would love to learn, and I'm going to with my current company. I've never gotten to do much with termites, really anything. I know how to do an inspection, and that's about it. I kind of, I know the difference between them and whatnot, but again, we didn't really have them in Minnesota, so it wasn't something I ever got my hands on. And then Big T doesn't really do much training, and so I was never trained or sent on any of those jobs. So I'd really like to, and at some point, that is my company now, we do termite work, and they've already told me, yep, we'll bring you on jobs, we'll train you in. So I'd really like to get some experience in that realm. And then again, wildlife. My original company had a wildlife division, and so those of us who weren't in that division just kind of handed anything bigger than a rat off to them. So I haven't done a lot of bird work, a lot of wildlife. So again, my current company is going to give me a little bit more training in that. So, and I've done some with Big T. They just kind of would send you out on raccoon jobs, squirrel jobs. So I've done a little bit of trapping here and there, but I'm not real knowledgeable, and I'd like to have a little bit more background knowledge on that stuff and some hands-on experience. So that's coming with time, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and picking up knowledge is probably one of my favorite things about the job. Is like, because I never go in thinking that I know everything, because I know I don't. And the second I maybe start feeling like I do, I'm shown otherwise quite quickly.
Yeah, something always pops up. And like, Jesus, what is this, day one?
Yeah, exactly. So getting those extra bones and it's a good deal.
Well, even I had I was chatting with a guy at my current company the other day, and he is one of the more experienced technicians, and he's kind of an extra. He does some training. He doesn't have a specific route. He kind of fills in, but he's kind of a top dog. And we were chatting about a roach issue that one of our coworkers is having, and he'd been trying to help him solve it. And I was like, oh, well, why don't you just start putting Delta dust down the drains? And he was like, you can do that? I was like, yeah, man, it's on the label. Read the label, like, check it out. And he, did some research. And the next time I saw him, he was like, holy shit, game changer. Like, he didn't know that you could apply that to drains. And that's where they were having this issue with oriental roaches. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like just conversating with each other, I was able to share just what I thought was a really simple tip. And he had never heard of that. And he used more tempo. So he hadn't read the Delta label super closely. And there you go. New piece of information. Now the whole company can benefit from that, and we can solve even more pest problems. And
we all love it. We all love it when we share info. That's for sure.
Yeah. And he wasn't rude about it. Wasn't cocky. Wasn't like, oh no, I know better than you. And just a simple conversation. He took my tip and it worked. You can
very
never
good
stop learning.
Well, I mean, I always liked, I had a couple techs when I was a branch manager that would be like, hey, can you come out on this job with me and take a look? I've been fighting this and I can't get a hold of it. And, another set of eyes makes a big difference. Sitting around the shop talking about problems and issues and having everybody chip in a little something that, it makes a big difference. It really does. It makes, because I know I don't know everything. By far, I don't know everything. And I got to tell you, I did derive a little bit of pleasure working for a few companies just as a tech and watching these guys walk in like they do know everything, and they get knocked down a few pegs. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's one of the few of my favorite things, Jack.
And I think you hit that zone from like the third to fifth year that you're doing it. And for some reason, some guys think, okay, well, I've been doing it this long. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then the guy's been a little bit longer going, yeah, no.
Yeah. Jerusha, I'll tell you what, though, when you're in the business once you stay in the business for a while and you've been there for a lot longer, you'll have people call you that you used to work with that may still be in the business, asking you, squeezing you for advice. And, and it's actually, it is so cool. I've got a bunch of guys that always call me. I don't work with them anymore, but they've gone off to either other companies or started their own or what have you. They've got a poser. They call me and they ask me about it. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not charging them for it. So I'd be more than happy to give them the advice. And it kind of makes my day. I feel like I'm still in contact with these guys. That's one of the things I like about the Facebook groups, like Pest Control Humor Depot, even Pest Control Bitch and Moan Forum, Bitch and Complain Forum, everything like that. If somebody's got a problem or an issue or something that they can't solve on their own, they can't come out, they'll put it on there. And they'll get some good answers from people. Of course, they'll also get some assholes that get in there and start talking to them like shit. But you know what? It's all part of the process. Yeah. We may crack a funny joke on it, but you glean through the comments, you're going to find the solution to it because these guys, we all know, it's a thing. We help each other.
I'm retired and I still get calls from people I used to work with going, hey man, I got this problem, or I need help figuring this out. And it's just, it's like I said, it's a great feeling knowing that, like for Brad, the impact that you've had with these other people, they still think of you when it comes to solving issues and stuff. And it's still a learning process. I mean, and I'll be like, hey, I gotta check out the label and I'll get back to you. But
I never thought it'd get to that point. I would say, because I feel like I'm still learning, and people are coming up to me asking me questions. It's like, or they'll lead off with a thing on Messenger and say, "Hey, I got a question." The first thing I think of my email, well, I hope I got the fucking answer to it.
Let me do some Googling real quick.
Yeah, that's right. Alexa, help out here.
Well, that's kind of where my TikTok name came from, your Pesty Bestie, because my favorite thing in the world is when I get a Facebook message, an Instagram message, and it's, a follower, and they're like, oh my God, I have this pest issue, and I thought of you, and I need help. What should I do? I love that kind of stuff. And even better when it's somebody that's in the industry. It just feels, I don't know, it's just cool that people would think of you in that when they need help like that. And especially if you can help them and have the answer. I love that shit.
Yeah. I did see some of your TikTok videos. You are a cheese bag, right?
Yes, I am.
You are a cheese bag. Okay.
Cheese bag.
I would like to invite you to share some of those on our group.
My TikTok?
Because I think, some of your TikToks, if you wouldn't mind, maybe posting some of them on there, sharing them with us. You don't
Like
have to
the
do
one with
everything.
the bait stations being propping doors open. I bet we'd all love to see that.
Oh yeah, some shit like that.
Jesus.
Things like that, you know. And
Yeah, I could do
yeah,
that. I don't share
yeah.
a lot in the group. I'm in there. I follow. I steal memes.
Uh-huh.
I'm
You
not
lurk.
super.
We
Yeah,
are here. We are here to be stolen. Our memes are there to be stolen.
I
And
steal
it's
the
like I
memes
hate
and
when
I take
people put
credit.
watermarks on them too, because it's like
Yeah, because you can't.
you
That's what
fucking
I try to take
watermark. It's like
credit
this
on
is a
my-
free. Yeah, this is an open relationship when you're in the depot.
Yeah.
But are you the proud owner of one of our magnets yet?
Not yet. I haven't done.
Well, you
that.
will be. So why don't you just go ahead and send me your address via DM, and I will get one in the mail for you as to thank you for being our guest.
And you send me the address too, and I'll send you a Tales from the Crawl Space sticker for your B&G.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Got swag for days here at Tales from the Crawl Space.
And the merch thing is still in the works, but we're going to end up having T-shirts and hats and stuff coming up here soon. So we're working on it. But let's get into the dirt.
And shorts too, because there's going to be Tales from the Crawl Space on the ass of them and PCHD on the crotch.
You damn Skippy.
Cute.
That's right.
Now I have to ask:
logo.
Do you have a dead body? Do you have a dead body story for us?
I don't. I have not encountered. No, I know. I actually was talking to the guy that trained me in at my current company. Was telling me his dead body story, and I was like, "Oh, I feel kind of left out. Like I feel like once I have a dead body story, I'll have arrived as a technician."
You've been at it for 3 years, Jerusha. It'll come.
Oh, yeah.
It'll happen.
How morbid is it that I'm like, come on, man? I
want this. Well, I have one more coffin fit. You can come over here and step over me, then, and you'll have one. But
I did.
No.
We had an assisted living facility where a blind tenant was having flies and nobody believed her. And I went in there and she had blowflies everywhere, all over the place. And we like tore the place apart and we just could not, because that's what we kept saying. There's got to be something dead somewhere. We didn't think it was a person, but we never found whatever died there. But just this one apartment was absolutely infested with blowflies and never could find the poor blind woman thought she was losing her mind. But something must have died somewhere in the walls, and we just never were able to find it. So that's the closest I've gotten to an actual dead body story.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's a good segue into my question. And Jerusha, do not take offense to this. We ask this of everybody.
Yes.
And as is always the case at Tales from the Crawl Space, the conversation inevitably turns to the subject of sexual hardware, and tonight is no exception. Everyone has a story in this category. What's yours?
Oh my God. So, like finding sexual hardware type of stuff?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. We don't need firsthand stories, but
not to get personal. No, I have two. One quick one that I just thought was really funny was a girl in an apartment complex called and asked for service. And so she knew we were coming out. And I walked into her bedroom, and on her window ledge, there were like 6 different sizes and types of whips. And then above the bed, there was a massive sign that said, "Love her, but leave her wild." And I was like, "Girlfriend, ain't nobody taming you with all them whips. Like, what the hell?"
no kidding.
And she knew we were coming. So I just thought it was funny that she left them out.
Mm-hmm.
And then a more disturbing one, we had we had an older gentleman in an apartment complex who had one of the worst bed bug infestations I've ever seen. And of course, it had only been, it had only sprung up 3 days prior to our visit. And they were everywhere. They were coming out of the toilet. They were coming out of the plumbing underneath the toilet.
Wow.
You just looked down at the floor and it was moving. His box spring was moving. And again, he always knew when we were coming. And the first time I went there, we lifted the mattress and we just found like the boxes from the sex toys that he had purchased underneath the bed. The second time I went there, he again, knew that we were coming, and we came into his studio, and he had his laptop open and was actively watching porn. And there were, I want to say, 3 sex toys on the bed. And then we were trying to do chemical treatments, and it ended up being that it was just too bad, so we had to switch over and do heat. So we sold it as a heat job, and the heat technician, I think, had to go in like 3 different times, and I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, did you find the sex toy collection?" And I said, "Well, no, I found a few." And he goes, "Oh no, there's like a cabinet." And he's like, I was moving the cabinet to make sure I was getting everything. And he's like, "Yeah, I found the whole goddamn collection." And it was a man, and he had like vibrators and all kinds of goodies. So
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah, well, truth of the body is a playground, so to each his own. But good grief, I mean,
Well, he was
they do
having a good time.
Yeah, apparently so. My favorite one. This wasn't involving sex toys per se, but I was doing apartments, and I knocked on the door of one apartment. The guy says, "Come on," and I opened it up, and there's absolutely no furniture in this living room save for a chair and a small TV. Now, this was back when the TVs had the tube, the cathode ray tube types. There wasn't the flat screen. Mm-hmm. He had it sitting on 2 moving boxes, and he was sitting there with nothing on but a bathrobe, watching porn and eating a bologna sandwich. And it was almost like performance art. It was like performance art. I mean, it was, I was like, I feel like I could
around here.
Just Tuesday, yeah. I felt like I could just walk into any contemporary museum of art and see this on display. And then he's like, "Yeah, just do what you want, do what you got to do." I did my thing. I'm walking out. He goes, "You want a sandwich?" I said, "Fuck no." Take it easy. That was
first
rough.
It's this baloney, then it's my baloney.
And then it's that baloney. Bounce, bow, wow.
Yeah, I don't want a sandwich. I'm gonna, actually, after the show, I'm going to go into my refrigerator and throw my bologna in the trash. My daughter bought me one of those immersion circulators. So I did my first sous vide ribeye steaks tonight, and yes, they were delicious. And then I smoked some baked potatoes and caught my smoker on fire, but that's my own fault because I didn't clean it. So yeah, so now I've got some projects come spring. One is to clean my smoker and paint it, and then the next is to figure out how to keep that on a regular cleaning schedule because I love my smoker. Well, I've been meaning to buy one, but since I'm building a house on the other side of town on top of the mountain, I just don't want to move something else.
You know what, Jack? Those things weigh a fucking ton, so I'd wait.
Yeah, and I'm just, I used to have a Cuisinart pellet grill that also was a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to get one of those again because that thing was awesome.
Okay. Wait, Rectech. Cuisinarts are good, but Rectechs are better. And I have a pit boss, so I know his Rectechs is better.
Now, Mr. Rusha, so we've established the sexual part, and but have you gotten any weird being approached strangely by customers because of your gender or your beauty or whatever? Has anybody been like, "Hey, baby"?
Yeah, I've had a lot of weirdos, but I've only had 2 that got to the point where I had to bring other people in because it was uncomfortable. And one of them I actually refused to go back to that account because of how uncomfortable the gentleman made me.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, guys are just... I had one that would always stop me and chat with me I had a food plant that I went to weekly, and he would stop me at a certain area as I passed through, because I had to walk the whole perimeter. It was usually like anywhere from 4 to 8 hour service depending on the season and what all was due that week. And he would kind of know when I would pop up, and he would always stop me and talk to me. And he told me he had a daughter my age. He was a grandfather, and I'm only 36, and this was a couple years ago even. And he was a grandfather and not my type, and he was just kind of yucky. And he would stop me and chat with me. And in the beginning, I just thought he was being nice, and then it just got uncomfortable where I would try to rush through that area of the shop because I knew that he would be around. And it escalated to like he would put his arm on my shoulder while we were talking, and just uncomfortable and weird. And I think it was when I was moving from Minnesota to Colorado, and I had told obviously my contacts, and so he had heard that I was leaving, and he was like, "Oh my God, you're breaking my heart!" And he started planning for us to meet up in South Dakota, which is about an 8-hour drive. And I wouldn't do that for most people that I like, much less
Mr. Murgatroyd.
a customer that makes my skin crawl. And then he told me that he wouldn't be upset if I met somebody and started dating. And I was like, who the what?
Whoa,
thanks. He was like not even the contact at this location. And I was like, you're really like nobody to me. You have no right to be jealous if I meet somebody. And then our tin cats, there are rodent traps. We would date them every week and initial them just to kind of show for the audit that, this has been checked every single week. And then he told me that he was checking those to pinpoint my location and see if I had crossed through a certain area. And then he would wait for me if I hadn't signed and date the tin cat.
Oh,
and
that's
so
fucking weird.
So when he told me that, I called my supervisor and I said, look, I got to tell you about this guy. And once I told him, hey, he's checking for my signature and my date on my tin cats. And my supervisor thankfully was like, I'm calling your contact right now and I'll call you back. And
yeah, that's some restraining order shit right there.
Yeah, it was pretty. And so the contact there, the head of the whole plant did speak to him, and he never spoke to me again until I left, before I left the company or before I left the state. But it was just very uncomfortable. And then I had, with Big T, I had a restaurant where there was a waiter that was just disgusting. Looked me up and down, moaned while he was looking at me. Same thing. He would try to touch my shoulder.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And he was always there, and he'd say things about like, he asked me to put him on my insurance at one point, and then said that if we lived together long enough, we could have a common law marriage. And again, this man had a daughter my age. He was a grandfather. He was an old, nasty man, and just kind of assuming that there was something between us. It was super creepy, and it really sucked because the owner of the restaurant was the loveliest man, and I really enjoyed chatting with him. But this waiter would wait. He would like run his bank run, and then this waiter would like pounce and just like undressing me with his eyes. It was just disgusting. And him as well. I called my service manager and I said, look, I need you to step in here. And he did. And the owner was furious with the waiter and, promised to take care of it. But I said, you know what, I'm not going back in there because it was a really small restaurant. And there were times, we hit restaurants before they open. So there were times where it was just the waiter there. And so I just kind of put my foot down and said, I will not be servicing that restaurant anymore.
No.
So those are the two worst, but there's people say little comments here and there, and guys come out of the woodworks to ask me stupid questions that have nothing to do with what they're doing, or I've even had guys stop what they're doing to come and tell me that they think that I'm not doing my job correctly. And they're like a forklift operator. And I'm like, bro, I didn't teach you how to move that pallet from point A to point B. So maybe stay in your own lane. So there's weird guys out there, and unfortunately women everywhere have to deal with them. And I don't think it's just because I'm a female in this industry, but I do encounter a lot more men being in this industry. And unfortunately, there's just some weird ones out there.
Well, I tell you, I mean, I know on the show we get stupid, silly, pervy, and that's kind of the tone of the show. But
mostly it's directed towards each other, though, Jack.
It is.
Like ball jokes, dick jokes, like that's different than like actually sexually harassing a woman. I would
have no compunction about breaking the jaw of some kind of asshole who tried to pull some shit like that. That's just fucking unacceptable.
That's what's really cool about this industry. I've never had a coworker or supervisor or member of management that was really gross like that, and I've had them step in and have my back.
There you go. So that's because you know why, Jerusha? It's because we're fucking awesome. That's why.
Yeah,
because nothing gets the hair on the back of my neck standing up quicker than when I'm in my office and I don't have a female CSR right now. The guy's a male, 3 days out of the week, and he I'd had a female CSR working there, and I would hear on the phone. When she would answer, she would answer the phone, she would greet, and there'd be another man on the line going, "I need to speak to a man."
Yeah.
That just like, yeah, you're going to speak to a man. As like, because I'm in the back room going, I'm in the back there going, "Put her on hold." And then so it's like, then I pick it up. It's like, "Here's your man. What do you want?" And then they'd say the stuff. It's like, I'm going to start off with, she could have answered that question. And it's like next time you call asking for just to speak to a man, your next call needs to be to another company.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a coworker once that was training me, and I remember people would I was at the point where I was kind of taking over. I was doing the talking. He was just kind of there, and people would bypass me and try to talk to him instead. And it was like, dude, I'm the one giving you the report of what we found, what we did. And he would flat out say, look, she probably knows more about this than I do. So maybe just listen to what she has to say. And I think that makes all the difference in the world, because there are just going to be people in the world that look at women differently, and just men having women's back and not letting other people treat us like shit. I think it goes a long way, because I can tell them, hey, you're being sexist and you're being a pig. But if another man tells them and puts them in their place, I think that's really what changes the game sometimes.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And it's unfortunate too, because I hate having to jump in and I don't want the damsel in distress attitude to be prevalent. But people got to be straightened out. And you can't.
I don't think it's damsel in distress. I think it's, you just know there. Some people are twats, and you gotta step in once in a while. And
I've
I'll do it every time, but
for male techs having a problem at jobs too. I mean, I've stepped in. I mean, some people think they can just bully their tech around, and my big Magilla gorilla ass shows up, and people tend to not get as mouthy. When you're the size of the grape ape, it works out in your favor sometimes.
Hey, okay. So, Jerusha, I got one more question for you. After a long day of saving humanity from itself, what do you do to unwind?
Make stupid TikToks talking shit about all of the bullshit I've dealt with. And then I'm pretty into working out and stuff. I'm kind of boring. I'm a mom. I've got kids to run around, but I make TikToks, talk about it, and then I hit the gym and pick heavy shit up and put it back down.
I pick things up and put them down.
Make you strong like bull.
I love that Planet Fitness commercials. It's this guy in these little
You
short
want the big
shorts where he's
muscle?
almost showing brain, and he's carrying that gallon jug. He's like, I lift things up and put them down. So they showed in the fucking back door. But now, my last question for you, Mr. Rusha, is if you were to speak to women who were considering getting in the industry or hadn't even considered it, and you wanted to give them an idea of how awesome it is and how awesome it has been, what would you say to them?
I would say make it your mission to prove to men that we're better than them every day. Try out a field. No, I think it is. We deal with fascinating things every day. We problem solve. We go into people's homes and take care of them. We actually make a really big difference in, community and health, and it's not something I ever saw myself doing or saw myself enjoying, or even just being able to walk in and get through a day on the job. But it's endlessly rewarding. The money's good. The hours are good. The people are good. The creepy crawlies are really we haven't really talked much about pests, right? Like, it's a lot about the people that you interact with on the job, with the customers, whatever. And I don't know, I think women actually have a leg up in this industry because of we're more empathetic. I think we can relate to, especially in residential. I feel like we do a lot better going in and talking to the woman of the house. I think it's a really, really cool, really interesting field. And I think that creepy crawlies and being afraid of those types of things probably scares a lot of women off. But that's such a small part of the job. Like, for the most part, we don't see a lot of that stuff alive anyway, if you've done your job correctly. And there's so many other ways that it's rewarding and it's fun. You get freedom, you get flexibility, and you get to prove to men that you're a fucking badass every day. So you can't really go wrong with it.
There you go.
Amen. That's awesome. And I think that's probably the most important thing, because you're right. We really haven't really talked about pests that much during this hour. I mean, we've determined that, the pest control it's a big family, and you look out for each other and you learn from each other. And it's, we've all got one common thread no matter where we're doing it at. And I got to mention, I'm going to throw this in. I got the stats for last year, since we've only been doing this since October of last year, Brad?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, we've been listened to in 15 different countries.
Yeah. We are international.
We are. And I mean, so there's all around the world, we're all the same. I mean, we may have different pests to deal with, and I sure as fuck wouldn't do pest control in Australia, because everything there's trying to kill you.
That's right.
I can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all in the same game here, and we need to look out for each other. And I'm going to segue that into talking about Randy, because we need to look out for our brother right now. Randy was, I believe, he was sent home the end of last week, and I saw a post today that he was back at the hospital for another round. The update I saw is that he's been dealing with some rapid weight loss, and I think, Brad, you were talking, you had mentioned when we tried to get this show done at the end of last week that he had a bit of a scare.
He did. Randy had his second round of chemo, and a chemo drug that they gave him on the first round, they gave him again, but this time it had a different effect on him. His heart rate and his blood pressure jacked up. He almost coded. They were able to act quickly and get it down with a cocktail of things like Benadryl and Demerol, and God knows what else. But he got it. His heart rate and blood pressure got under control. 20 minutes later, he was on his phone texting me and Schulte about it. So, Anyway, yeah, he's doing what he's got to do. And I mean, the dude's a fighter. He's wanting to fight this tooth and nail, and it's taking a toll on his body. It's taking a toll on his heart. It's taking a toll on his mind. And but one thing that he really finds peace and happiness in is you guys, and how everyone is, praying for him and supporting him, and just keeping him in their thoughts and meditations and sage smudges and FAP sessions and so forth. But it's everybody. I mean, we've circled our wagons around this man, and I could not be prouder to be the PCHD overlord right now, because I can't believe the response that's come from the depot and from other areas as well. So, but every one of these shows is dedicated to you, Randy Strother. We love you,
most certainly,
and we will. We'll keep pimping your GoFundMe too. Just go to GoFundMe and type in "Cancer Sucks, but Randy Doesn't," and you'll see his face on there. And give what you can.
And Randy, we're looking forward to having you on the show for your victory lap once you kick the shit out of this, which we know you will.
Damn
once you
straight.
Kick the shit out of it, we're going to have you on the show because there's a spot for you. There's going to be the Randy is a badass show, and that's exactly what it's going to be fucking called. Randy's a badass.
Got that shit right.
And the show will be all about you, man. So you keep fighting. You keep doing what you're doing. We got your back. And we look forward to having you on the show once you've been cleared of all this bullshit and you can get back to life the way you want to.
Jerusa, I really appreciate you being on the show. I'm tickled shitless to talk to you. We'd love to have you back on again sometime.
Most definitely.
It's been a blast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't forget, everybody, you can find us at www.tftc.wtf. That stands for what the fuck, which I know every one of us has said it at some point in time every day on the job. What the
Absolutely. Fuck? And stay tuned for the content of next week's episode, because we don't know what the fuck we're going to do.
That's right. And you can find Mr. Rusha at Your Pesty Bestie, both at TikTok and Instagram. It's the same name, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Great. So, yeah, Your Pesty Bestie at both TikTok and Instagram. So check her out. Give her a follow for sure, because the videos are awesome, from the workouts to – I saw that you took a hike up in Colorado, and the view was just beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I'll share a little bit of that here and there when I can.
Sweet. Oh, hell yeah. Well, that's the show for this evening. We have no fucking idea what we're going to do next week, but I do know I'm going to try to get my boy on so we can talk to him about all the intros he's done for the show.
That's right.
He just started his new job, his first job, so really excited for him for that. And so we'll get him on. Hopefully Danny will be back, and Danny will be running the show next week. So until then, y'all can just bug the hell off.
Bug off.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Tales from the Crawlspace podcast. You can find us on just about every single podcast outlet there is online. So be sure to subscribe, and we'll have a new episode next week. Don't forget, you can find us on Instagram at TFTC Podcast, on Twitter at Crawlspace Tales, and you can also find us on Facebook at the Pest Control Humor Depot. See you next week.